welcome back to our channel, A Different Swirl. I know it's been a while since we've made a sit-down video at least, but bear with us on this channel. My name is Nafi. For those of you that are new here, welcome, welcome. I am Nafi, and this is my husband, Lee.
I'm Lee.
So today we're here to answer a question from another YouTube couple. Their channel is called the Vangs. They're similar to us, Tanae and Peter. They're similar to us because they are also a Blasian couple. Peter is Hmong, like Lee. So in their last video titled, Will Our Kid Lose Their Hmong Identity? They asked a question at the end, asking, what are you doing to, not us directly, but we just wanted to respond to that video or to that question. They just asked other interracial couples, what are they doing to expose their child or children to both sides of the family. So yeah, we just wanted to make a video telling of our experience and our opinions on the topic of raising biracial children and how we are planning to expose them to both sides. So yeah, make sure you go check them out. Check out their channel. Again, it's called the Vangs. They make great videos, and show them some love.
Kuzahai, Nyajong.
Yanjong. So they were just basically telling their experience of people asking if their child will be Hmong, and we experienced that too. As soon as people found out that he was dating me, people were asking, what about your child? What about your children? Basically meaning, you know, will they be Hmong? Will they, you know the Hmong side? Blah blah blah. And the same for my family. You know, they're always saying like the kids will be kind of like lost or something like that. But for us, we want to make sure that our kids, they experience both sides. We introduce them to the food, the language. Lee speaks Hmong to them all the time, and my kids, they actually understand Hmong. The basics, they know more than I do, sadly enough. But yeah.
Well, just a quick disclaimer. The views and opinion of this video is strictly for educational purposes only. We're not professionals, so we're just gonna basically explain it from our point of view. So don't take it as, you know, what we say is gold. You know, maybe some of it will be, but it just pertains to our situation. Mm-hmm. I would love to say that my kids will be 100% of one or the other, or even 100% of both. But just from my point of view, just me personally, I wouldn't even say I'm 100% Hmong right now. Just the way that I was brought up. I didn't grow up around a lot of Hmong people, and I feel like that's going to be the downfall for my children, to not necessarily be as Hmong as I would like them to be. Because where we live right now, the closest Hmong person is probably going to be like,
grandparents
in another city, you know. So we're not in a very concentrated Hmong community, so it makes it difficult for my kids to keep that language or to be around it enough to fully understand it. I try my best to speak it to them, but you know, like my daughter's picking up stuff here and there, but in actuality she's very, very American, you know. So even the way that she pronounced things, she doesn't have the Hmong dialect with it. It's very, very foreign. Like, it's like me teaching an American how to speak Hmong, so it's not very natural right now for her. She's starting to grasp like questions and how to respond, but everything's still very, very robotic, you know. So I would hope that I can continue to let her grow with the language and the culture, but just the simple fact that we're so far away from Hmong people that I wouldn't say we're so far away, but we don't have the interaction or the community that's close enough to, you know, be able to go every weekend to, you know, a gathering or anything like that to introduce them or have them see and hear the Hmong language more often. Because even right now, I mean, if me and Peter were to meet, I would say that we would be speaking English 90% of the time, and probably speaking Hmong just to, you know, talk mess about our wives, but other than that.
Excuse me? Anyways, whatever. See, this is why.
But I mean, hey, everybody who speaks a foreign language knows that's true, you know.
What's true? I don't speak mess about you in my language. I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I mean, I was going to go off of that because basically I was going to say, like, the newer generation Hmong people, not to say that they're not keeping up with the culture or anything, but a lot of them are more Americanized.
Yeah.
And I could say the same for me. I didn't grow up around a lot of Nigerians either, at all. So I went to, you know, it was more Black Americans that I grew up with. So I'm not very much, like, I can't say that I know everything about my culture, just what I was exposed to by my parents, you know, and from going to African parties. And then in college was actually when I met a lot of Nigerians, to be honest. So as far as like my kids, I do want them to know it, you know, that's always important, you know, for them to know where their parents are from and things like that. So I would say that my parents are probably the only exposure that they have to Nigerians and me. So like whenever we go visit my parents, they live 4 hours away. So whenever we go visit them, you know, my parents are introducing them to the food. And recently we've started to I tell my parents all the time, they're always telling me, you need to speak our language to them. And I'm like, you guys need to speak our language to them too, because whenever we go there, they're asking Lee how to say things in Hmong to them. I'm like, come on.
But I mean, in actuality, that is kind of correct.
I understand that because culturally, as far as my ethnicity, you are what your father is, you know. So my parents they still have that mentality that, oh, the kids are Hmong because their dad is Hmong, you know. So culturally, that's how a lot of Nigerians look at things. Like if you were to come from two different, like let's say villages, you would be what your dad is. So I don't know if that's true for Hmong people as well. Like because if you're Green Hmong, if your dad's Green Hmong, then you're considered Green Hmong versus White Hmong or whatever. So, yeah, I think that might be the only difference because I guess we're used to that aspect of it. They're like, oh, this kid is Hmong, but you know, your kids, in my opinion, they're gonna be Americanized because they grew up and they were born here and they grew up here, or they're gonna grow up here. So they're going to be more Americanized, but it is still important that they are exposed to the culture, the Hmong culture for you guys, the Black culture, and for us, all of the above, all of the above. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that,
like for me, I would actually be happy if my kids were even 1/3 Hmong, because as I look at it right now, they're going to be maybe, you know, 33% American, 33% Nigerian, and 33% Hmong. So if they can at least be 33% and know the culture, love the culture,
they can tell other people what they are. You know, that I think that's for me.
As long as they're capable of educating people
and they're confident about it. Yeah.
When someone asks, "Hey, you know, what's your nationality?" They can say, "Well, my mom is this, my dad is this, and they're from here, they're from there, and so forth." Because I would say that even for myself, both my parents are Hmong. Both my parents are very, very traditional. Both my parents are older than, a lot of people's parents. They came from, from Laos, and even me growing up as a full-blooded Hmong kid, I felt like I was more American than I was Hmong. Just for the simple fact that I felt like my parents were very, very protective of me being exposed to negativity in the community. So instead of taking me along to learn things, they actually left me at home so that I don't see certain things. So I felt like I was kind of sheltered away from the Hmong community to where, they can't be upset with what I did, because I felt like it built me into someone who didn't think like a traditional Hmong person. My thought process was more open. I was more willing to see the other side, or more willing to open up and embrace other cultures, as opposed to like a lot of like older traditional Hmong people. It's just strictly Hmong. Like, I can honestly say that my parents didn't even allow me to have friends of another race growing up, just because they were afraid that I would be influenced a certain way. But I mean, I really didn't care. I still had friends. I just never brought them around my parents. But like, their mindset was, oh yeah, you have to stick with Hmong people because Hmong people can have each other's back. But there's always a downside to just only being around Hmong people as well. So I was always like, growing up as a kid, I always saw the bigger picture. I always saw, like, I tell a lot of people, like, my way of seeing the world is like the Olympic rings, right? I want to interconnect everything and then, see what the final answer is beyond that. So, like, me and my kids, I feel like I want my kids to be able to experience that as well. And I don't want to just say, hey, you guys have to just learn and speak Hmong. I would love it, but, the chances of it is very, very slim right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just like with the younger generation Hmong people, they will understand it. Speaking it, I'm not sure, but they will understand it. So that's a good thing. And even with me, my parents always spoke English, and they're always say, oh, we should have spoke more Yoruba to you guys, blah blah blah. But we all understand the language. It's just a matter of, you go to school, you make friends, everyone's speaking English, so it's different. But I think generally, just making sure that they know who they are. If someone was to ask them what do you mix with, they can say, oh, I'm Hmong in this. I think, to me, that's pretty much my goal with them. They're gonna know the food because they love to eat rice and water. The staple Hmong food. They love to eat, and they love to eat my food. They like eating fufu and egusi soup. I was surprised myself that they liked it, because he doesn't even like it. But my kids be eating it up like nothing. So, I hope it continues.
There's the 50% Yoruba in them.
Exactly. They be tearing it up. But, you can only expose, that's all you can do. Just expose them to it and make sure they know who they are. Make sure they respect and appreciate both sides, and that stems from us parents too, not speaking bad about the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I think one big thing is, don't be afraid for them to see the negative side of the culture as well. Because I feel like if you shelter them too much, then they'll end up like me. Like a person who is 100% Hmong, but never really got exposed to a lot of stuff in the Hmong community. So even though my parents, like my father, was very, very well known in the Hmong community, he never took me along because, it was just one of those things where he went to do business, so he didn't want me to be around, other things that, may be there that would probably lead me in a
like
direction.
What?
No, you know how, like, okay, most of you may not know, but like with Hmong functions, there's a lot of drinking. And
things
a lot
like
of,
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of gambling that sometimes happens at certain things, and like I think my dad was trying to protect me from that.
Oh, okay.
But by doing that, then it kind of eliminated that portion of my life where maybe I could have been there to, if if only he had a little bit of trust in me, I could have been there to learn a little bit more. Because my dad knows a lot of stuff. Like he, I would say, in a sense, he was a celebrity for a time period. Everybody knew him. Everybody would call him for certain things. But I felt like I said, I felt like he wanted to protect me from certain things, so he, didn't want me to come along. So, like with my kids, I drag them along. Like when there's family functions, certain things that they do for the Hmong culture and stuff. I bring them along. They probably don't understand anything that's going on, but at least I expose them to it. And chances are, I personally may never do much of the stuff that they do traditionally, but maybe one day, they may end up wanting to do it. Because for me, I feel like I want to learn more of the Yoruba tradition as well, but same thing. We're not really around a lot of Nigerians. So it's like
And kind of like you, like that's how I grew up too. We weren't really around a lot of, Nigerians. So I think that kind of probably affected the way I thought about the world too. I just saw people for who they were, and
Yeah.
I know people that are like all, Nigerians. They know everybody, and my parents weren't like that. They didn't know every other Nigerian in the Atlanta community or anything like that. Because when I went to college, a lot of people knew each other because their parents knew each other, but that wasn't the case for me. So, so that's probably
She was the American in the Nigerian group.
whatever. I don't think so. I wasn't technically American either. If anything, anyways, that's a story for another time. But yeah, we thought your video was really interesting to bring that up. And we know how you guys feel about, people are always going to say what they want to say, think whatever they want to say. My thing is, as long as you don't say it to my face, we okay. You can say it in Hmong, as long as my daughter doesn't translate it for me.
I say just have patience. People are gonna talk.
Yeah.
People are gonna talk. So
and people are gonna stare.
To me, I think what took me so long to actually get with my wife was the simple fact that I was so worried about what people were gonna say and how my parents were gonna think that I don't want my kids to actually have to feel that way.
To fear that, because, I can't bring this type of person home or this color person.
I feel like the Hmong community is very, very negative towards like interracial dating.
Oh yes, especially with what just happened recently with Sunisa.
Yeah. So to me, like,
that's everybody. It's not just the Hmong community, honestly.
No, but it's 2022. We gotta walk around blinded. Like I feel like I always say, if the world was blind, we'd be a much happier place because you don't see color, and a lot of the big girls be getting all the guys. But I'm just saying, back on topic, that don't worry about people talking about your kids or you as a couple, because I feel like there's more to life than to worry about what someone's opinion is, because who knows what they're going through. They may have a worse life than you do, but they have something to say about you. So in my mind, the way I think about it is that you can say whatever you want about my kids, as long as you don't get physical with my child. It's all good, just don't get mad when I say something about you. That's how I was brought up. Whoever can burn the other person hotter with words is always going to be the bigger person. So you know, you can say what you want, but, you know, just be ready that I'm going to say something back.
Yeah, and with the staring, like I've conditioned myself to think that when people stare at us, it's not always a negative thing, but because before I'm like, they're staring at us, they got a problem. You never seen a black and Asian couple before, like that's how I used to always, that's what I always used to say to Lee. But like I've just learned to just kind of think maybe they're not staring because, you know, they're thinking something negative. Maybe they're just like, you know, like wowed or something, you know, like, oh, okay, that's different or something like that. So that's actually what one of my friends told me. She was like, when I stare at interracial couples, I'm like, oh yes, go girl, or go, you know, she's like rooting them on inside, so, but she's staring at them. So ever since she told me that, I was like, okay, maybe not everyone that stares is down. I mean, sometimes you can kind of tell.
That was just yesterday.
Whatever. Sometimes you can kind of tell, you know, when people are giving you dirty looks, of course. But
see, to me, I really don't care.
I used to care a lot, actually, but
cared.
I don't care anymore. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Take a picture. It'll last longer.
We'll stare longer. It'll last longer, too.
That lady did take a picture of us.
Oh yeah.
Y'all, like,
we were at a restaurant.
this is the first year. This was what was this? Marley was still a baby.
Yeah, my mom's
our
birthday.
firstborn. Yeah, his mom's birthday dinner. I was looking through pictures, just looking. This is after, like maybe a year later before I even noticed
camera.
that this lady was like, either she was taking a picture or like taping us, and you could tell because her booth is like this way. We're sitting like this, kind of like how we are, and she's over here, and she's like turned and like looking at us, and I was like, this lady was taking a picture of us. But anyways, whatever. Yeah. Like I said, you know, she might have just been showing her, you know, her
support.
Somebody, yeah. Like, oh, they're kind of, like when we went to that Hmong, where did we go? It was a Hmong wedding or something, and this lady wanted to take a picture of us to show her daughter, because she was like, oh, my daughter's dating a black person too, so she just wanted to show, I guess, them a picture of someone that looked like them, I guess. So, I mean, it's not always negative, so and we have someone awake.
I gotta do my duties.
That will conclude our video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new here, again, welcome. We would love for you to join the family, so just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I can't promise you weekly videos or anything like that because we have two little ones that take up a lot of our time. So the only time we really get to do videos like this is when they're asleep. But yeah, stick around with us, guys. We will catch you in the next video. Bye.